Okay, we're back with turn 9 of Dreadnought, and we're playing the Dogger Bank scenario of January 18 or 19, 15. So, where we're at with this, you saw at the last set of videos that the Siderlitz was wrecked, and that basically allowed the British to satisfy its victory conditions, wrecking one hex and having more victory points than the other at the moment. Now this could swing the other way because ships are still out here. We got 4 more turns to go, and it could change quite a bit because we still have German ships, Der Flieger up here, which has a very strong armor, Molktar here, and down here we still have the Blucher, although it's not in a good shape here. It's got 2G 1S on here as we look at it. So we basically have 2 groups of fighting. The Blucher trying to escape, and then we have the main body here, what's left of the main body up here, trying to survive here as well with the 2 destroyer groups here. For the British, they've got their main force, the Tiger, Lion, and Prince Royal, as well as destroyers here engaging the main force of the Germans under Blucher. And then down here we have the New Zealand and the Indomitable with a destroyer force that have broken off going against the Blucher, trying to wreck it as well. So let's see how turn 9 goes and see what happens from here. So starting off with turn 9, visibility, rolls a 2. Makes it 11, so it's kind of a shorter range. That'll just limit it to 2 groups firing. So now we get the fire phase. We first off go up here with the main group, which is going to be the Der Flieger fires on the Lion. And that's going to be 36 points because it's going to be doubled for the range that they're at. And then -2 for being fired upon, because they are being fired upon, as we'll see a little bit later, as well as no damage. So -3 on the roll. And they roll a 6. That's not going to get anything, so that's a miss. Next, we've got the Molktar firing on the Prince Royal. They are, let's see, they're going to be half firing because they're firing out of their bow arc. So that's going to drop them to 7. And then no damage, so it's going to be a -1 dice roll. But they did have a hit on the Prince Royal prior turn. So they roll a 12. Ooh, that's going to hurt. So 12 gets us, -1 is 11. 12 damage on the Prince. And his armor is only 5, so it's a 2-to-1 advantage. And they roll 2 12s right in a row. Okay, so that's going to be a potential eliminated. That would change the game quite a bit. Bring the Germans back into potential. We need to roll a second roll to see if they roll a 7 or an 11. Roll a 6, so they don't. So it winds up being 2G 1S on the Prince Royal. Now with that though, the Prince already has an S on it. If I expand this over here and we look at it, that already had an S, so that's actually wrecked. So that's nearly as good as what happened to the Siderlitz. They'll be dead in the water and they'll be pretty much out of the game. Okay, so that's interesting. Next we've got the D-51 up here. That's this guy up here. Taking shots over at the Tiger. And he misses. No damage. He's only got a 1 firepower, but give it a try. They may roll a 12. They may get something on there. Now we've got the Lion firing at the Der Flieger. They're going to be halved. And doubled and halved, so they wind up staying at 18 firepower with a -2 for being fired upon. They roll an 8 down to 6, 4 damage, but 10 armor, so that's gonna bounce right off. Tiger also does it. So now Tiger firing at it, same thing, 18 firepower because it's up and down. It's doubled and halved for range and firing out of arc. And then -1 for multiple ships. They're the first one. And makes it a total of a -1 overall. Roll a 5. 5 minus 1 is 4. No damage. Prince Royal, because they haven't taken any damage yet, they were firing at the Der Flieger as well. They'll get a -2. Same firepower because they're doubled and halved. They roll a 7. 7 minus 2. 7 minus 5 is 2. But the armor is 10, and that'll be no damage as well. Okay, so that's pretty significant up here. We'll see the damage results here once at the end of the phase. Let's go down here to the New Zealand and the Indomitable firing at the Blucher. They'll be doubled with no die modifiers because they're not being fired upon because their Blucher has no capabilities of firing at the moment. Roll a 7. 7 minus 1 is 6. Damage is a 6. Sorry, the armor is a 4. 1-to-1. Roll a 3, so that's no damage. Okay, Indomitable fires, pretty much the same as the New Zealand, except they have not gotten a damage on them, and it's a multiple ship, so it's -2. Roll an 11. 11 minus 2 is 9. 10 damage, 2-to-1. Ooh, this could do in the Blucher. And they roll a 6, which is a 1G, which is a miss. Not too bad. If they got an S, that would have ended them. And then now we've got the destroyers going after them. A couple short range shots here. D16, 1 firepower, -3 DRM. Roll a 10, that's a 7, which 10 minus 3, which is a 7. Damage of 2, armor of 4, no damage. D14, same thing, but notice the multiple ships are going up. Ooh, roll a 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. 4 damage. Against 4 armor, it's 1-to-1. Ooh, the destroyers may have just done some damage. They roll a 5. And they miss. D13 does the same thing, and they roll a 5. 5 minus 6 is 1, no damage. Alright. So that's kind of interesting to see because that's really one of the first times I've had a real long string of multiple ships firing on them, and that's the nice thing about the increasing level of potential missing with more ships, just because of the amount of firepower that's being thrown upon them. Okay, so now we do our reveals of all our damage. Now we can see that the Prince Royal is heavily damaged, wrecked. And now we'll be moving to the move phase, and you'll see our destroyers moving up for the British. They did drop some torpedoes to go against the Blucher. We'll see what happens with them once the Blucher moves. And here goes the New Zealand and the Indomitable. Now the Blucher actually turns to head south right into the torpedoes. That's actually going to get them a -2 modifier on their torpedo attack here. So the Blucher is going to be torpedo attack at 1-to-1 with a -2 DRM. Roll at 4. That's not going to do it. So the torpedoes miss, and the Blucher sails on. Next we come to our destroyers up here, the other British destroyers up here. They're trying to circle back to provide some cover for the other main battle cruisers, the British battle cruisers. So they move up and around, like so. Now we're going to get the main battle cruisers moving, other than the Prince Royal. They're pretty much dead in the water. And now we get the Der Flieger moving down. The Germans actually moving, and the Moltke moving, and the destroyers moving that way, German destroyers. And now we'll do our damage control. This is the other key thing here as well, is removing damage. Der Flieger is going to try to remove their S damage roll. Rolls a 4, that's a fail. Blucher, back down here, they're going to try a couple rolls. One for their G, now that fails. One for their S. That succeeds, so they get their speed back up. All right, and that's all of our action for this particular turn. So that changes things quite a bit, because now you look back here at the Prince Royal, that'll actually score 18, 7, 30 points times 80%. That's going to give us 24 points for the Germans right there, because they're wrecked. So that changes the game, even though it basically cancels out what the Seiderlitz numbers are, but British still have the lead, because they had sunk and wrecked the cruisers and the other destroyer group for the Germans. The other British cruisers and destroyers are sailing away, and they're pretty much out of the action over here. Okay, so that's it for turn 9. We'll go on to turn 10 next. Okay, here we are at turn 10. So the Germans have caught the British by a little bit of surprise by coming back and knocking out the Prince Royal, as we just saw. So let's see how turn 10 goes for both sides. So first, the visibility check. It's a 4. Get a little bit more visibility. Now it's up to 13 hexes. And we'll start with the fire phase. So up here, our main battle group, Lion, is firing at the Mulkter now, because that's the closest. And they're going to be halved and doubled, so they're going to be 18, -2 being fired upon, and 1 for no damage on the Mulkter, so it's -3. And the roll is going to be 8. -3 is 5. That's going to be 2 damage against 7 armor. That's going to be nothing. Tiger firing at Mulkter, same thing. Now we've got a multiple ship though, so it's going to be -4. They roll a 5. Gets a 1. Nothing. Okay, moving on to our other capital ships down here. The New Zealand is going to fire at the Blucher. Now they've moved out of their doubling range, so they're going to just be 10 with no DRMs, because they did hit them last time. They roll a 7, which gets them a 4 damage, which is going to be 1-to-1. They roll a 6, which is a 1G, which means there's no damage. Next, Indomitable fires. There's going to be a -1 on this one for the multiple ships, so it's going to be 10 with a -1. Rolls a 7, so -1 is 6. Gets 2 damage, but against a 4 armor, does nothing. So, but they will lose their no damage modifier next turn. D12, Destroyer 12, fires at the Der Flieger. Now we're back up here. This gets a -3, rolls a 7, gets a 4, no damage. 14, fires at Blucher. Oops, that's back down here. They get a -3 DRM. 9 -3 is 6, but that's still no damage on the 1 column. D13, taking a shot at the Blucher, firing, rolls a 3. 3 -1 is no damage. I haven't been showing the charts, but these are where we are on here. You can see the 1 column is right in here. The 0 to 5 column, I should say. The 1 attack strength falls within here. You can see those low numbers, really don't do much for us. So continuing on here, D16. Yeah, there's no damage there. Alright, so now we come up here to Der Flieger, firing at the Lion with a -1 for no damage at 18 strength points. They roll an 8, -1 is 7. Gets us 6 damage against a 5 armor. That's going to be a 1-to-1. Rolls a 7. That's going to be a 1G on the Lion. Now, the Der Flieger's secondaries are going to fire at D15 over here. And that's going to be a quartered strength, then halved again. So it's only going to be two strength points. -2 for being fired, -1 for damage, -3 total. And the roll on that is going to be a 5. 5, 5, 6, 2, no damage. Mulkter fires on the Tiger. They're going to be doubled, so they're going to be 30. Being fired upon -2, and then no damage -3, so look at -3 on there. Roll a 9. 9 -3 is 6, that's 8 damage points. That's a 5 armor, it's 1-to-1. They roll a 6, that's a 1G on the Tiger. So British are getting beat up here a little bit in these later turns. Okay, I was firing at the D12. Again, another low roll, and that's a miss. D51, firing against the 15 up here. You can see it's got -3 with 1 strength point, rolls an 11. -4 is, it should have been -4. I noticed up here multiple ships wasn't added in. I think I added that in later. And that gets us to 2 damage points, but with an armor of 5, that doesn't do much for us. So now we got all plots revealed, adding up the additional damage on the tiger and the lion. And now we're going to do our movements. And the tiger and the lion are running for the hills. They don't want to stick around. But the New Zealand and the Indomitable are going to go after the Blucher, try to knock that out. Still can do it. The destroyers are going to try to circle around to help protect the lion and the tiger. And the other destroyers here with the Indomitable and the New Zealand are going to try to get in a position to cut off and again torpedo the Blucher if possible. Okay, and then we've got the British, the German destroyers going after the British battle cruisers, and the Moltke are moving down, continue to remain in contact, and the same thing with the Der Flieger. And then we've got our other British units. They've moved off the board and they're essentially done. They won't count for any victory points as they're steaming home. All right, damage control on the Lion. They're going to try to get rid of their G hits. They roll a 6, that fails. The Tiger's G hit rolls a 4, and that fails. Their Flieger's roll is a 4 for their, or excuse me, it should be their S roll up here. They roll a 4 and they fail. And let's see here. Now Blucher. Yeah, Blucher. Oh, I missed the Blucher on there. Okay. Oh well, that's okay. End of turn 10. Blucher is still with us, but able to steam away, but don't have any guns to shoot back with over here as well. They're trying to close on them, but now with the Blucher getting their speed back, this is going to be tough for them to continue, or tough for them to catch them, I should say. And back up here with the British, a little bit of a tough situation because I'm pretty sure now it's a even odds with the Tiger and the Lion versus the Moltke and the Der Flieger, with the destroyers trying to come in to help here as well. So we could see another British battleship or German battleship wrecked over the course of the next 2 turns, because we've got turn 11 and then finally turn 12 to end the game. So let's move on to turn 11. Okay, here we are back with turn 11. Let's see what happens with the German and the British here. So as we left off, British trying to break off, preserve their lead. Germans are trying to come back here a little bit and preserve the Blucher as much as possible so the British doesn't increase their lead, and maybe they can knock out another battle cruiser. We'll see. Okay, let's get to it. First thing is visibility. It's 4 again, so it's 13 hexes. That'll make it better for firing here. Okay, so we've got the Lion firing at the Moltke first. It's going to be halved because they're firing stern. 9 firepower, -2 for being fired upon. They did get a hit in the last turn, so we'll see how this goes. They roll an 8. -2 is 6, 2 damage against the 7 armor, so that's a miss. Tiger firing at the Moltke again. Now we got -4 because there was no damage in multiple ships now. You roll a 6, that gets us a 2, no damage. Okay. Just kind of keeping them at bay as much as possible, but there is always the risk of a critical hit. So next we've got the New Zealand firing at the Blucher over here. They're going to be 5 because they're now firing out of their bow arc. They roll a 5. That's no damage. Domitable fires as well. It scored a hit with a -1 because of multiple ships. 5 goes to 4, no damage. And then we've got now the destroyers going after them, going after the capital ships. The D12 up here is firing at the Der Flieger. Don't know if they're going to get it with a -4. Oh, they roll a 12, which is 4 damage, but their armor is just too strong. It's an 8, so, or 10, excuse me. So that's a miss. D16 fires at the Blucher down below. They roll a 5, which is a miss. Let's go back down here so you can see it. There we go. And D13, they're a miss. So that's all of the British firing. Now we've got the Der Flieger firing at the Lion. Back up here. Let's move you over a little bit to center you and down a little bit. And they are going to be at 18 because they're in normal range and with -2 for being fired upon. They roll an 8 down to a 6. Rolls 4 damage, but the armor is 5, so that's going to be no damage. Multi-air firing at the Tiger. Normal range, -2, or actually -3. They roll a 5 down to 2, no damage. Okay, so no damage on this, and this is what I like. This may seem a little drab and droll. We're rolling a lot and not getting much results, but this is the type of thing we had with the World War I firing. They fired a lot of shells, missed quite a bit, got lucky several times with hits, and could wreck and knock out ships, but not really have a good chance of hitting them. So it's a lot of maneuvering and getting ships in the right position to do some sort of damage and then wearing down their damage to win the game. Alright, so let's continue on. Movement. So now we're doing the British over here by the Blucher with the destroyers and the battle cruisers going, as well as the Blucher. And now it's just becoming a chase here to see what happens. As they've moved down to the edge, we'll have to move them up next turn. But now it's becoming just kind of a chase here to get off the board. Blucher still can't shoot, so maybe they'll get something back this turn. But we'll see. The Lion and Tiger continuing moving southeast, and the Germans following them. But it's a problem here because the Germans don't have the speed. So, they actually increase the range. Now, one thing that could be interesting here is the British destroyers who are following Der Flieger are moving up potentially to a position to fire torpedoes. We'll see how that goes. So damage control. Lion's going to try to get rid of it when its sole G hit. You roll a 2, that's successful. And now Tiger rolls a 4, they fail. Der Flieger gets a roll for their S, and they fail. Okay, and that's it. Quick turn. Quick turn indeed. So let's zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole picture of everything before I wind it up here. So here's where the action is here. Here's the wrecked ships up here. Here's our main ships moving kind of southwest here out of the way, as well as the other group of destroyers and the New Zealand and Indomitable going after the Blucher down here. We're coming up on the last turn, so we'll be playing that here shortly, or showing that here shortly to see what happens. But it's looking like the British are going to kind of run away. We may get a little action up here with the destroyers and maybe against the Blucher, but I think the British are kind of sealing their victory here. But we'll see. We'll play out the next turn and see how it goes. So stay tuned for that. And we're back with turn 12. This is the last turn. We'll see how things line up here, whether the Germans can catch up with the British capital ships and do some damage, or they can get away here. So let's start off first with a critical visibility phase. Oh, they roll a 1. Oh, low visibility, 10. So that's going to limit things quite a bit. Let's just take a look at that here real quick here. So yeah, they're out of range, and I'm positive that Der Flieger's out of range here too. So Lion and Tiger pretty much have broken off combat for that. So that somewhat seals it right there with it. But I'm going to play it out and give my final thoughts on this as well. But that's pretty much ends it, because they can't shoot at each other and wreck anymore. But they can gain back some points through the damage control. We will have some action up here with the destroyers, I think, even though now I think they may break off as quickly as possible. And then, of course, we have the down here with the Blucher, may be able to get something with that. So let's see how it goes. So first off, going with, I did some whole bunch of visibility checks here, just like I did with this. Then you can see this is what I came up with. New Zealand will fire at the Blucher. So we're going to do some firing down here to see if we can't wreck the Blucher. And there'll be 5. So they actually get an 8, which gets a 4 damage and a 4 armor. So it's a 1-to-1. And they roll a 2, which is no damage. Okay. And then the Indomitable has -1 for multiple ships with a 5. They roll a 4, -1 is 3, so they're no damage. So Blucher is going to escape most likely, because I don't think the destroyers can do anything to them. Even though we'll try, no damage. From there, 16 fires, and they're no damage. And then back up here, Der Flieger is going to engage the destroyers to try to do something. So they're going to fire D-15. Now they're at close range, so this could be devastating on them. Let's see what happens. Oh, they roll a 2, no damage. Secondaries fire, they roll a 3, no damage. All right, this is pretty much over. So the movement's going to be inconsequential. We'll skip right over that. Damage control, because this will affect the final victory points. Der Flieger's S roll, they roll a 1, so that'll actually help them and get them out of damage. Tiger's roll, they're successful. That gets them out of damage. And then that's it. That ends the turn and ends the game right there. So how did we do with this? Let me just continue on here. There we go. No. With this. So I think, I put the notes in here. So here's the final victory tallies. For the British VP, they sunk the light cruisers. That scores them 10 points. 1 DD wrecked, that scores him 8 points. The Siderlitz scores him 24 points. Blucher gets him 6 points for a total of 48. The Germans, they scored 2G on the light cruisers for 4 points. Wrecked the Prince Royal for 24 points. That scores him 28. So the final score is 48-28 for the British. Substantial victory, I would call it, for them. A little bit of payback for the raid that the Germans did on the English coast. So with that, that's the end of the game there. Just final notes on it. I think this is a nice little game. It's an older game. The rules are somewhat rough, in my opinion. I think there's a few things, like I said, that I have changed with this. I am probably going to be doing some more modifications, particularly to the movement. The formations piece of it works, but it's rather light, in my opinion. I think it could be boosted up a little bit by having some leadership for the formations, as well as a little bit more cleanup on turning capabilities and things like that on there too. But it's a nice, simple game. You can see I played this out pretty quick. With this, these turns can go really quick, even playing solo like this. And I was actually putting the spreadsheet that I showed you earlier. I was putting in entries for that, and I think I could play out a turn in an hour with both sides. So very quick, easy play, but it gets you that kind of naval combat of the First and Second World War, because there are scenarios across there, as well as hypothetical stuff too, hypothetical campaigns in there as well. So it's a good series of games. There's a number of articles up on a number of websites, the BGG site and the SPI net. That's a beautiful site as well. If you haven't seen that, I'll try to put that in the video notes here as well, so you can go there if you haven't seen that for SPI. Russ Gifford, giving him a quick shout out here for all his work he's put together over the years with all the SPI games up there for you to see and get and work with all the materials that are out there as well. So good stuff. Good old time 1970s, 80s, bang 'em up war games like we had with SPI. So anyways, I thank you for watching. Hopefully you've made it all the way through. You've watched all the videos on this, and I hope you like it. If you did, please like it, and subscribe and all that kind of fun stuff. Comments are welcome. Have you ever played this before? Did you play this back in the day, or is this new to you? Is this something of interest to you for a quick naval battle in World War I and World War II? Leave me a note. Always interested to see it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.